strip typography down to its purest structural elements, rectangles, circles, and lines. Your challenge is to create a composition, these basic shapes in shades of gray, focusing on balance, hierarchy, rhythm, and contrast within the page. Think of this as designing the underlying architecture of a typographical layout. How do different sizes, densities, and placements of shapes suggest visual weight, movement, and structure? How does negative space interact with these forms to guide the eye, create tension, or establish order? And then I don't know if you are watching like the references that I'm giving. These are just to point you in some direction of the point of the exercise, right? They are not the end all be all, but they're just to so you get a feeling of the piece we are trying to make. You know what I mean? Like this one, 249, the one that's here. You know, this contrast in the elements. You know, we are not using text, we are not using images, but you get a sense of the intent of the composition, right? We have rhythm, we have repetition, we have tension in these repeating lines, right? Over this, that they are supported in that axis, you know what I mean? In that guideline. Then we have this with really little negative space. So yeah, now having watched that, I think the feedback that I gave on something like this was that it was drawing with the shapes too much, right? When you start to use the images, the shapes as images, right? You're not using them as containers or guidelines to delineate nothing, right? You're just placing them and not really thinking about the hierarchies, right? Because any piece of these, like these rectangles, each of them could have been a piece, and it would have been maybe alright. You know what I mean? This one I rated with an it's okay, because this one I feel it works. It works better for the exercise. You know what I mean? I think it's lacking like a major hierarchy, something that really draws the eye to that spot, but it does the job in which it clearly has hierarchy, you know, and it's trying to decompose the space and trying at least to guide you through the piece. A bunch of y'all, or some of y'all, did stuff like this, which I think it's all right, but it becomes like a really nice stain. It's an exercise we're gonna do later. It's a morphology exercise, but it's around making like a really interesting shape with texture, and that has the same morphology, like hierarchy, composition principles, but all within like a simple shape that could be like a brush stroke or anything like that. This one is really great. I feel in some parts of the image it's kind of being pictorial in the sense that it's drawing again with the shapes maybe in the background or whatnot. Think of it of you could replace any of the shapes in these pieces with a text or with an image or with a logo or anything that would compose like a real poster or a real graphical piece. This is just to try to create the bones of that and to sort of make it work like that, right? Because when we strip it down and focus on the real simple minimalist shapes, when we can make it work like that, then we can start to build off of that composition, you know. This one I think is good, but it does that is drawing a bit with the shape. For example, these circles that he's doing right here, that could be just a black block, you know what I mean? This is the same, could be just a simple rectangle here. This is almost the same. This one, it's a bit scattered, but he's trying to do what I want him to do, right? It's not perfect, it's not great, but at least he's trying something. Like for this, I would try to start to align stuff and make them more intentional, but I get the overall feeling that what he's trying to do with this, I see the hierarchies there is not super tidy. Maybe it's a bit chaotic, but I think it works and it could be like developed further. For example, this one I really didn't like much because again, this could be replaced with a square or rectangle. It doesn't have any meaning for it to be like a circle instead of a rectangle. Like we are just trying to delineate space and saying here there goes a level of hierarchy, and in this other space goes another, you know what I mean? For example, this one I like much more, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3 hierarchies, right? We have the one from the background, this big one here. Maybe this other square in the left part is another, but we clearly see the hierarchies, right? We see how it reads. It's really clear. It's really simple, but this is the exercise. This is the version of it that doesn't fall into the Swiss design type layout. That one is much easier to do. I think that this one, when I saw it, I was like, nah, but now that I'm watching it again, it's sort of an abstract piece, and on its own it could work, you know what I mean? That is tricky, that is the tricky line of this exercise, at what point it becomes like just a morphological piece that's cool on its own, when it's just a morphology like wireframe exercise. Yeah, I thought about dropping a video, but it's easier to stay consistent with just the text, because this is something that I do for free, right? Of course you can join the Patreon, but for the moment I don't want to like just have to log into doing a video and you just depending on the video. I'm gonna try to be clearer in the briefings, you know what I mean? And then maybe later down the line, if more patrons subscribe and it's kind of more worth it to put more time into it, I'll try to do that. But I guess for the time being, with the references, I think you could try to understand them. And while we are doing this, right, and while we keep doing the challenges, and you'll start to gain the vocabulary and the terms, and you can do that also. Again, kind of drawing, but it's also it's there and does some stuff that's kind of weird. This one, again, a nice piece on its own, but you could see the blocks, you can see the hierarchy, still this work. You see, this is mine. This is the one that I did last week. And now I'm going to try to do another like this, but keeping it even simpler, and so you get the ideas better, you know what I mean? But here you can see perfectly, you can see the hierarchy levels, right? And this is the exercise, to try to control this in a way that makes it perfectly understandable, and you get much more control of the composition you're trying to make. Right, when you strip the piece from meaning and you're not trying to say anything, you're just trying to create something that's balanced, or that's creating this sense of speed, or a sense of maybe a real weight or contrast, right? And then you focus on morphological stuff, right? Then later down the line, when we start to add typography and we start to add how do you make a piece that means a certain concept, you know what I mean? All this stuff comes into shape. Actually, we could do like a challenge, and just in simple shapes, how do you convey speed, for example, or uneasiness, or terror, or horror even, right? How do you convey that just with shapes? You know what I mean? Of course, it's not gonna be a piece that you go like, oh, it's really deep. But when you start to try that, and then you add the images, and you add the text, and you add all of that, then you're starting to really design, you know what I mean? This piece, actually, the sketch for this, it's better than the final piece. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it has like a bit more character. And also, for example, this hierarchy level, the red square right here, when I applied the texture, it kind of washed away a little bit, you know, like this line, this tension that we have here from this dotted line, that this pattern here with the circle, it creates more tension around this part of the design than we have in the other one, you know what I mean? What do you think of these guys? Drawing doesn't count. Yeah, but bro realized it immediately. He realized real fast, and just, oh my god, I just understood the concept, and he immediately redid it, so it's okay. This one were good. Some things that I'm seeing y'all do is, you're, for example, some of y'all getting the concept, the overarching concept, alright, but you're trying to do maybe random stuff. For example, right, like the lines here, like they are not evenly separated, and even the length of it, like it's not modular, you know, like there is a concept in design that's called constant and variables. For example, in this design, we have this text over here, the visuals that connect with the paragraph below it, right? That on its own, it's a constant, because maybe not on this page, but on other pages that have information with similar, in that same hierarchy, we'll have all those types of paragraphs will be in the same type, with the same value, with the same grade of text, you know what I mean? So that's a constant. And a variable would be, maybe if on a same page we have 3 of these, but one is more important, we'll start to differentiate this with different weights, with different opacities. It's the exercise that we're doing, but adding the variable of text, you know what I mean? And sometimes when you have, for example, the knife, we have one of each level of the hierarchy, you know what I mean? We have different hierarchies, but for maybe the most important hierarchy in the poster will be just one big level, right? It's the title, you know? And then we have lesser important levels of hierarchy, but we have several of those. You know what I mean? For example, in this one, in the purples, that's one level of hierarchy, right? And you can link them together because they are the same size and they are the same color, right? There is a constant that's tying them together. You know, when you make a poster for a festival, let's say, you have the big poster, and then maybe all the venues in which the festival is, that's a hierarchy level, right? So it's constant in the poster. And then you have the hierarchy level of the performers, right? The artists, and those have a constant, right? They are they are all in the same typography, and maybe ones that are more important than others are on bold. You know what I mean? So maybe for this piece alone, and we get to see that when you start to repeat certain hierarchies and you start to establish that, oh, there is a constant here that's trying to tell me that this information must be of equal value to me. You know what I mean? This one really cool. I like how this vertical line that we have here touches here and create this nice tension in the piece, and how this overlaps and goes out of the grid. This one is much better. I saw this one, and this one is much better because you get really clear the composition, right? And you started to get this nice tension here with it overlapping over the shape that's below it. Here we have the same thing. Then this nice repeating hierarchy levels, one on top of the other, right? These blocks here again. This one was really cool. This is a really beautiful piece, but I don't know if it's the exercise or not. This one I think is really masterful. Like, this is just tension, you know what I mean? It's really controlled and it's really well structured. So let's just open Photoshop and let's make my piece for this week. Let's make this. Oh guys, and I wanted to take just a second to talk about the design dojo that I changed the name. It was the Design Syndrome yearly design challenge. And I changed it because I began to notice that some people maybe thought of it of like a challenge. The word challenge, it has this competitive connotation to it. I didn't want it at all to be like that. You know what I mean? There's over 4,000 people on the Discord, and there's not that really many people interacting with the contest. With the uploading things. So I figured to make it much more around the concept of developing our skill and making that the central theme, you know what I mean? So we don't have this weight on our back that, oh, it's a competition and we're really trying hard, you know what I mean? It's just a way to falling back onto something. Maybe if you're feeling on a dry spot and want to improve, maybe focus on something that's a bit more fundamental. If you're just starting to graphic design, this challenge, it will be amazing for you because you'll get to see things. These are exercises that I made on my university years, and I studied in one of the best graphic design schools. So this is really valuable stuff. Again, don't take it as it is, like it's final say, you know what I mean? The pieces are not bad or good in and of itself. It's just for the theme of the exercise, right? For the assignment itself. Usually I'm not giving feedback on the channel to the great pieces, you know what I mean? That really look cool. As I start to get to know y'all better, you'll start to see that the ones that I can see that they have a more of a developed skill level in design, to those ones I'll start to nitpick a bit more, you know what I mean? And if I see some ones that are just starting out, just that they are understanding the aim of the exercise, that's actually already a lot. Let's just show a bit of Photoshop here. And here, the key to the exercise really is to have fun. It's a compositional sketch. Usually I like to start this with a solid color layer, and I'll just start doing a simple, really simple composition, you know? I'll just raster this, so it's just a block, and I'll just start doing stuff like this, you know? Grab a part of it, and then with Control, if I click just Control, it's gonna take it out. But if I click Control Alt, it's gonna copy it and I can move it around. So you see, for example, just like this, I'm already handling 3 really different hierarchy levels, right? It's really clear how you're supposed to read the piece. Like, this could be a fantastic poster. You know what I mean? If I have a big text here, and then, for example, I have something really small and I put it here in the middle of all that negative space, that could be a poster, I don't know, a big sky with a dude falling, and here a little logo and a caption for the poster. And then I have the title here. And this is a solid composition for a poster. Massively overused, yeah, but this is the exercise, right? Once we start to control this kind of stuff that's really small, then we can move up and start doing some crazy stuff like Safe Haven, you know what I mean? Let me show you a poster that I'm uploading tomorrow. Like, for example, something like this. It's all the same idea. It's all hierarchy level. You enter the poster to the biggest shape or the biggest contrast in the poster, and then you move back less eye-catching stuff, you know what I mean? And here, let's just play, you know what I mean? But you see now that if I make this smaller, the composition kind of breaks here because it's all kind of modular. You know what I mean? When you start to working with the variables and all of that, it's all kind of modular. So maybe if I have to bring this one also over here to align it. I usually work from intuition. The fact that I don't use the grid, the fact that I don't put the grid in the poster itself, it doesn't mean that there is not a grid. Maybe it's a looser grid of a more intuitive grid, but there is a grid. It's just how I studied design. It's much easier to put the information on the frame and to start to relate stuff, you know what I mean? But for example, we have here the flow of the piece, and then we have this, and here we have a nice point of tension. So I could grab maybe something like this, bring it down there. So for example, in something like this, my guys, you can really start to see that we have these hierarchy levels, right? And they are really clear to see, right? And we have several. And from here, we can start to create like repetition between them. So we start to link them in some way, you know what I mean? Once we start to develop this kind of the hierarchy levels, their constants and their variables, we can really start to relate them, be it by form or by color or by just the placement. For example, let's say that here we have the title of our poster, right? We have some word here, and then if we move it back, maybe here we have like most important headliner or of an event, right? That's separated from the pack. Let's say we can see that it's the same hierarchy level, but why is that one separated? Why is it more in line with the part of the composition that has the most tension? These are things that are not gonna be like you are thinking about them while you make the design, right? You need to make the next week. It's gonna be, you need to make 10 of this, 10, one after the other, because once you really start to iron this out, you start to get a lot of repetition, then you start to get the flow of it much better. When I was in uni, they had us do like, I kid you not, we did like 100 of these, probably even more, but that's the volume you have to make to really dial it. So for example, here I'm gonna change the background color of this, something like this. What I'm gonna do is, for example, let's grab this one. This one I'm gonna invert it with Control I. You see, and now this white one was from one of the lower hierarchies, but I put it white now, and now what's the center point of the piece? And it's the contrast, right? The contrast with the other shapes, what makes it look important, right? If I make everything the other way around, we get the same. Even if I change this contrast, right? It's all a matter of contrast, shape, and position. It's all that matters in design. Contrast is the most important concept in design, because it's what's gonna give your pieces character. It's what hints the viewer at what should I be paying attention to? You know what I mean? It could be a contrast in the values, right? It can be a contrast in the way the space is being used, right? For example, if I take all of this out and I have only this white one here, I can make it even smaller. If I grab this part of the composition here, make it black, make it really small, I place it here in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, all this empty space surrounding this part in the composition, it's hinting you that's really important. Like, why is that? I don't know. I don't know, but hints that it must be important. And more if we start to reinforce these lines, right? But because now this point in space because I felt like it, I put it there, right? And it's kind of floating in the middle of nothing. For example, right now it's floating in the middle of nothing. Like there is no other guides or lines or elements that are kind of supporting it. But if I move this here, for example, and like this, and I start to somehow support that element with others, and by support, I mean adding lines that point to that object also, right? It can be a matter of only contrast. For example, if I take all of this align stuff, I'm just aligning stuff. Like this works kind of too. I liked it where I had it before. Oh no, I lost everything. It doesn't matter. But I had that line that I liked there. Here, I'm just working all within a single layer, right? I'm not going overly complex. I'm just fucking around, you know what I mean? You see now the contrast is not that apparent, right? It's not that clear what the main thing of the poster is. A simple rule of thumb that I can give you, it's make things apparent. Make it obvious what's important and what not. Contrast is the most important thing in design. Like there, boom. Oh, thank you guys. I'm really trying to do this to really push me to be consistent, and I want to stream more. And also I went to school for design on a public school that was free for me. I really feel like giving back and trying to help the community of maybe those that don't have or live in a country that don't have that privilege that I had. And I really want to extend it. There's a lot of, I don't know, I live online and there is so much bullshit going around, my guys, that to be able to live a creative life and even try to do something that's kind of good for someone, like makes me proud. The piece is starting to much or more or less kind of work. When you start to compose and you start to place the elements, you begin to try to grid them together. A composition is going to start to form, and then you can sort of see where you need to put stuff if you feel like it, you know what I mean? For example, we have this vertical line here, and if I wanted to make that that direction stronger, I could put something here, right? And maybe another of these like here. And that way you start to reinforce certain directions of your composition that will guide your work to somewhere, you know. If I take the grids out, you can see that it starts to sort of appear like this corridor, for example, starts to form. And if I put something that's gonna really reinforce that, it's gonna look real strong. So composition is just that, right? And we're starting to have some nice rhythm there. We have like this sector here, this sector that repeats, then it's a little narrower and a little narrower. And if I bring this one here, this sort of repetition, this sort of speed like the piece has. And this is just simple shapes, right? It can get really crazy. This is really like simple. I'm not also that great at composition itself. I'm really good at really simple, powerful compositions with images and sort of a gotcha message, you know what I mean? I'm starting to get more into copywriting and to getting really nice messages in the pieces, you know? That's more lateral thinking. We'll do a really nice exercise on that, but later down the year, because you have to think a lot. I remember that for uni, that exercise was really hard because it was really simple exercise, but it was the hardest because you just had to put like an image and like a definition of something. But the definition you used, it needed to be of something else. For example, safety with its description, and then on the image it could be something that make you go like, what he's trying to say. It was like a, you know, it was like the corner of a building that had like 8 cameras pointing in every direction, and then on the other side of the poster it said safety, feeling of having things under control. It's not the same, but the image juxtaposed with the words creating a new meaning, you know what I mean? That's more of a semiotics exercise. We'll do it later, but that's a really great exercise. You can make some really nice pieces with that. So yeah, we already here. We have something that could kind of work. Now I'm gonna start to go really crazy and get real funky with it, you know? So yeah, right now I'm just trying to create some more complexity by adding some more value to separate from the back, and I'd like to get more contrast in the part of this white spot here, but that's easy. I can just select this and move it to the part that's in there that overlaps with the other shape. It makes it a bit more jarring, and I feel that works, right? What I would like to do, because for the context of the piece, that's all right, but I want to make something that I can post on social media. So I'll get out of the briefing, you know, I'm gonna add a word here just to add something of text, and this is gonna contrast even more. Now, why this is gonna contrast even more? Tell me in the comment. It's really simple, but you need to tell me. What's an evocative word I could use for this? We're dealing with shape, we're dealing with contrast, we're dealing with hierarchy, we're dealing with importance. Bingo! You get a texture pack. Now for real, you want a texture pack. And I'm gonna use an action here, playing with some unreleased actions. This is to make an instant organic noise. I'll probably release this on the Patreon. Oh, let me plug something here real quick. If you would like to support Dojo in any way, you can join the Patreon. You get even more crazy discounts for the store, and you get free work in progress asset packs that I'm working on right now. Like this month, the Discord got this bleed, the whip ink bleed action pack. For example, let's say we have this text, and just one click and you get this nice like real bleed effect. One thing is to say, why do you like something? Another very different thing is to say why something is bad, right? Because what do you mean by bad, right? You need to have some sort of criteria that we both share in order to say something is bad or is good. But if I gave a brief, right, and I gave guidelines to making something, okay, I can gauge how much this that I'm seeing excels at doing this. You know what I mean? But for example, with the things that we have just seen right here, oh, sorry. Oh, you didn't see what I did. I'm just gonna apply some textures. One thing that I started to do that I'm really liking, it's grabbing like a gradient map. Oh, this one's great. Playing with the blending modes, like soft light, you get some nice tonalities. You see, you get some change. It's really subtle, but it works. In this context, these circular shapes are competing too much with the big blob at the top, the big square. So if I take them out, actually the piece becomes a bit better, you see? Because it's much easier to understand what you're supposed to look at. And you can see it works much better. It's a much more potent piece. I think we got it, guys. I feel it works really well. It has the hierarchies, it has the repetition. Gradient maps are crazy. Like, look at this color. But you see, because of this gradient map, it has like a nice tonal like variation to it, it's done. The piece, it's done. You know how sometimes it's really hard to know when something is done? Well, now it's done. And you can see that really easy. Like we could keep playing with this. Even like this, the piece works. You know, this is a tremendous amount of tension in the piece. This works great, but like it's really easy to do this. You just put something really big alongside something really small that's really far apart, and that's a composition that will work. It will work. Now what's hard to do is to make it meaningful, like to make it have something to do with what you're trying to say. That's what's hard. It's really easy to make a eye-catching composition, something that's really contrasty and that would cause your eye. That's easy to do, right? When you start to get the hang of it. Now what's hard is how you mix that with the meaning of the piece, and when you start to add color, and when you start to add images, and when you start to cook with all these different ingredients, that's where the magic starts to happen. You know what I mean? So that's design. I know that's design, and I must say something that may go against my immediate monetary interest. Let's say that it's selling texture and selling assets, but no amount of assets and texture is gonna make your work be good. You know what I mean? Because it can look cool or interesting by a certain metric, right? But if the work is shit, no texture, no asset pack, no graphics pack, it's gonna make it good. What it will do, if the work it's already have something for it, it will empower it to allow it to be more, you know, to fulfill your vision. But if the work is shit, no amount of texture, not mine or from no one, is gonna save it. You know what I mean? So I really do want to help y'all to improve, right? And the assets are part of it, but this is also part of it, right? And this I learned for free. So I want to give it to you for free, right? If you want to support and become a Patreon and unlock all those extra stuff, that's all right. But, and thank you a lot. You know what I mean, my guys? I already have some Patreons, love them, but it is what it is, my guys. Design is a really interesting spot because it's being commoditized. You know what I mean? Like making an image for almost all my career. Like I would say maybe 40% of my career I was selling an image, and to the degree that you're still gonna sell an image, then yeah, like AI and Canva and all this stuff, it's gonna take your job in that regards, because you are selling to people that they think that what they need, it's an image, right? I used to make a lot of logo design work and branding that didn't delve into the strategic of it, and I stopped doing that because when I started to read and to study about marketing and about branding and brand strategy, I realized that the logo, the image can be whatever, right? Going to someone and saying, I want an image of X, or I want a logo of whatever it is, it's like you going to the doctor and saying, I need you to prescribe me this pill because this is what I have and I already know what I need to take. You know what I mean? Like as creatives, we should be trying to fix clients' problems, creative problems. If we still want to have that spot into their workflows, if we're gonna to still keep selling just images, selling a JPEG, yeah, we're fucked, right? So this is the work that I feel it's important to do, right? Fundamentals, to start to think of composition as and this stuff that's gonna elevate our work. Meaning, you know, what does it mean? What is trying to achieve? Because yeah, artificial intelligence is a really powerful tool, but the power of the tool is not in the tool in and of itself. It's in the one who wields it. Like, who is gonna be able to make crazier shit? The client that is asking you for you to make the logo bigger. You don't think any image that he can produce will fix his problem? No, he's gonna still need a proper creative that really knows images and knows what it means and knows what an image do, right? To be able to put it inside the business and make it work, you know? So that's where we come in. The real creatives, not the image makers. You know what I mean? One big part is to stop branding ourselves as image makers, right? We're creatives, right? And I get it's hard because we like making cool posters and we want to keep making cool posters, but at some point I think it's better because it pushes us to more important work at the end of it. I started to write a video on AI, but my opinion is changing all the time. I mean, it stays almost in the same path, but it's kind of hard. But yeah, short answer is like the more we focus on ideas, that then an image, it's a tool for the idea to be able to come to life, right? The goal is not to make images. Does that make sense? Let me know if I'm rambling. But I think that's the cure to the AI thing, because it's gonna happen and it's starting to happen. I've made client work with AI. I use a lot of AI. I'm working on a really cool project with a really cool brand. I'm really happy that they called me because I've rejected working with clients that are big, but it's not the work that I want to do. I'm on internet the entire day and I really want to be a part of of a new kind of content and internet, right? And these people that call me are into that, and it's a huge blessing for me to be able to work with them. And actually speaking about the things and in the videos that I make, they found me through that. So I think that's the work that's gonna be not for a sake of relevancy, right? But even for the sake of we're on that grind, right? Let's make it meaningful, because otherwise the price that we get is not gonna be enough to offset the suffering that it takes to do the work being a creative nowadays. Everywhere you look, there is someone that's trying to scam you or is trying to take advantage of you, and we need to start to shift this persona of the vulnerable artist and designer, and we're geeking out, you know what I mean? Like, we have a business and we need to readjust and readapt to stay at the game that we are even better, right? That the ones that say that AI are going to take your job is what I just said before. Like, if we keep making images and branding ourselves as just making images, we're fuckity fucked, you know what I mean? Right now it's a really interesting time to be an artist. That's the thing of the label too, like, I like to say I'm an artist because I like the label, right? In reality, I create stuff. I'm a communicator, I make content. I don't have an issue with the label, right? But it's so useful for the client because it's the same all. You know what I mean? Like, labels are more for use for the people that look at you instead of you, because to you the label all it does, it puts you in a box, but for the client it's useful. When you meet someone, you don't go like, oh, I'm a lot of stuff, I'm a partner, I like to create, I paint, you say what you do for work, because in this society's primary meaning of what we are born is what do you want to be when you grow up, you know what I mean? It's a responsibility to make the world look and feel amazing. Lots of flat AI content will be out there, but we have to bring more personality, understanding, communication. Yeah, totally, my guy. It's starting to happen. Like, people are starting to use AI, that, and realizing that first, it's not that easy. Like, most of AI stuff you see, it looks AI. I've started to found some AI curation pages that upload stuff that, okay, this is AI, but I haven't seen this one before. I haven't seen this specific combination of stuff before. And there are people that are making really great stuff, but it's just great in that sense that that's a specific combination of factors now, right? Like, it starts to become really cool when we put it inside a much bigger project and starts to serve like a purpose. Right now, I'm doing something that we needed photos that we couldn't still get, and I use AI to make them, right? And I make doubles of the persons that should it be on the poster, but we couldn't have the pictures still, right? But with a mugshot, I made AI doubles, and now we got the images, right? Before, it would have been impossible to make the gig possible, because there wasn't time to get the proper images, you know what I mean? And I started rambling. I lost I was talking of labels, right? What I was saying about labels. Oh yeah, that they are more important to the one looking at you than for you, because it limits you, but to them it's like a liberation of their RAM memory, you know what I mean? Oh, you say you are this, and it's easy to you make you predictable, you know what I mean? And when a client, for example, a client that's looking for an artist is not the same that a client that's looking for a designer, right? From our point of view, an artist and a designer are fairly close. They're really not, but they are fairly close because they inhabit us. But for the client, it's not the same. The client that's looking for an artist is not the same that the one's looking for a designer. You know what I mean? Like, when you switch perspective with the one looking at you, it becomes really clear what you are, right? I like to feel like an artist because it's more romantic. Ooh, you're an artist, you know what I mean? But actually, I'm a designer. We have been talking about design all of this time, right? That design then translates to a piece that we use to express ourselves and whatever, but we are talking about like design criteria. So that's what I mean. Like, what's the point of the label? No, actually, scratch that. I mean, that's the point of the label. You know what I mean? Like, to market yourself. Like, where do you think like the path is gonna go, right? Because you can market yourself as an image maker, or you can market yourself as a creative person. So that's the thing. That's the gist of it. Yeah. You can make money as an artist too, as a self-proclaimed artist. Yeah, it's what we were talking about just before. Like, what's the purpose of the label? Yeah. Oh, Diablo 4 is great. I'm just like stopped playing because I have so much work. When I stopped having time to play that much games, it really took a toll on me, because I've been playing games like, this is a self-proclaimed label, but I am a gamer. I think since I've had the PlayStation 2, I think from that day on, I think of video games every day of my life. I inhabit that space. I really love video games. And to not be able to to play them, or sometimes like preferring to work than to play a game, and not by a sense of guilt, by a sense of, oh, but I would rather do this. Like it really started to hurt, you know, to say like, oh, I'm losing a part of me, you know what I mean? But we come and go in waves. Right now, maybe I'm not feeling that much like I'm playing. I yesterday go back into Dota. That's competitive MOBA game, and I'm good playing. Just I can play 1 game a day, 2 games in a day, and I'm cool, you know what I mean? Now I'm playing Dota, and I have a bunch of games on Steam to play, but I need to finish this client work that I need to do, and I need to post more assets, and I need to make more videos. I don't know, once this stuff really became like a mission, you know, the graphic design ninja and the dojo, and to feel like you are doing something. It's really funny how it starts to, the sense of importance starts to eat up the rest of stuff that maybe weren't that important, you know what I mean? Because it's not like you burn out. It takes the spot of something that feels more important. But yeah, my guys, we're gonna wrap it up. It was an amazing stream. That was it, my guys. I'm gonna release the next challenge, so you have time to make the new this challenge that we just did till the Monday. Yeah, let's go. That's the entire point of the community also, my guys. Like, jump into the Discord, talk shit. The other day, the last Friday, we were like 8 or 7, and we were drinking, we were having a blast. It was crazy. Like, join into the streams. Like, I don't mean the streams, but when you see someone hanging out, just jump in there, start to say hello to people. Next stream, I'm gonna try to do this weekly or bi-weekly. We can do next stream, like, I wanna do every Wednesday, you know? Every Wednesday we do this stream. I release each assignment the Monday, and on Wednesday I do a stream. I do a small feedback round, and then the new assignment on the next Monday. This way you have some days to make some pieces, then I give some feedback and I make my piece, and then you can all make your pieces again after I get the feedback, right? So yeah, that was it, my guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the Discord. See you next one, my G's. Fuck peace. Wish you conflict. Shit. Take care, everyone. Jump into the Discord, meet people, talk shit, okay? Peace.